My name is Sydney Runyon, and I'm going to be presenting my research paper to you today. A common matter of discussion as of recent has been the implication of media in organizational communication. And according to our text, the internet has fundamentally changed how many managers communicate. Instead of filtering the information coming into an organization, managers are now responsible for aligning information with business goals in mind and acting as facilitators by bringing the right people together to solve business problems as a collaborative community. The topic of my research paper is disruptive communication. And disruptive communication is the continuous process in which communication channels are being challenged or changed by emerging technologies. Ecclesiastes 3:1 states, "There's a time for everything, and everything is suitable in its time." I feel as though this applies really well to disruptive communication or any really disruptive media. There's a time for everything, and in its time, verbal communication was the basis of the managerial process. However, as times have changed and as environmental factors have changed and circumstances have changed as well, change has to ensue in order for this process to continue. So the basis for my research was based off of Chapter 9 of our text. Chapter 9 includes a few examples of digital medias that have been incorporated into the managerial process to better facilitate communication and collaboration amongst subordinates. And really, I just wanted to take that a step further and kind of look at it through a disruptive communication kind of view. I wanted to see the impact that this change has had on organizational behavior and communication, and how it's changed the managerial process. If it's been a positive change, if it's been somewhat of a negative change, I wanted to see how people really were reacting to this. Really, managers have become more involved in the process and are now more reliant on conference calls and emails and even social media to communicate with their team members. That's kind of the disruptive communication or the disruptive media in its place. So as communication has changed, so has the relying of information. Managers have become subservient on application software to communicate with their employees. The first example included in the text is collaborative software, which is also referred to as groupware. And this enhances the collaborative abilities of group or team members by providing an electronic meeting site. So the result of this is, at many companies, the productivity benefits of collaboration software have been long apparent. Easier communication with colleagues, more effective brainstorming with remote team members, and the ability to share content, files, and other resources with anyone at any time and anywhere. So really, there's no limitations to what can be shared by subordinates to managers or as a collaborative effort. So close to collaborative software is the next example included in the text, and that's the intranet. An intranet is a type of centralized information clearinghouse. And because they centralize data in an easy to access way, intranets are a good idea when a company's employees need to reach the same company information. Really, it's pretty similar to collaborative software, but this really is just going to maximize efficiency amongst subordinates in collaborating and achieving work goals. Finally, the text also includes oral communication as an example of disruptive communication. Oral communication is always important. It's always going to be, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, the text opinion, it's always going to be the most important type of communication. So while media technology allows for convenience, oral communication is the beginning of established trust amongst workplace relationships, and ultimately that's why it's as important as it is. For those in leadership, oral communication is important to building relationships amongst those team members. Technology has changed the way managers communicate, but there will always be need for managers to communicate verbally. One expert advises people to use electronic communication only for transmitting and confirming simple information communication and to have actual conversations for anything that could be potentially or possibly be sensitive. The text also includes ways that oral communication has been advanced or changed. So they include the example of telephones or conference calls being a possibility for those that wish to communicate verbally with their subordinates, but obviously they have the parameters that they need to meet. Obviously not everyone is in the same place at the same time, especially in modern workplaces. So as for the results of my research, according to the Graduate School of Library and Information Science at Illinois, online interactions not only have positive outcomes for real-life, place-based communities, but the intersection between online communication and the offline world also form two halves of a support mechanism for communities. As information and communication technologies have become increasingly intertwined with our everyday lives, the internet and social media have combined to create a vibrant and indispensable communication and information platform and infrastructure for today's world. So, regardless of the type of communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, written or listening or visual, if we don't communicate effectively, we put ourselves and others at risk. A major feature of communication by leaders is to rely on networks of contacts both in person and electronically. Without being connected to other people, leaders will find it almost impossible to carry out their very roles. Communication is a very important, one of the most important aspects of organizational or organizations in general. And in order to accelerate or to advance, to continue to work for communities of people or organizations, they need to change, which leads us back to Ecclesiastes, everything has its time. And that's my presentation. That was my research, and I hope you liked it. Thank you.